Critical Blast, where pop culture gets blasted.
And good evening, everybody. My name is RJ Carter, Senior Managing Editor here at criticalblast.com. And we are running a 2-for-1 special tonight because we are bringing on one of our regular writers now, as it turns out. Damascus Minsmeyer is going to co-host tonight. How are you doing, Damascus?
I'm doing excellent. How are you?
I am doing great, and I'm ready to do nothing. I'm ready to just kind of watch this one and let you take the lead on this. You are our resident crypt keeper here in the horror industry.
I like that.
Yeah, so tonight we're going to be looking at a movie called They Reach and interviewing the cast and crew, so to speak. And I guess to lead that off, we'll bring director Silas Dahl in. Am I saying that correctly? Is it Dahl or Dahl?
It is Silas Dahl.
Silas Dahl. Got it.
You got it. Yeah, you got it the
Dahl.
first time. Yep.
Just like Roald Dahl, whose name I'm not sure I'm pronouncing right either.
Right.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the show.
Well, welcome to the show. We're glad to have you here. We also have James Winters, director of photography.
Hi,
James. Welcome to the show. And then of course, the real reason everybody's coming here is to talk with the people who were actually in the movie, and that would be Mary Madeline Rowe and and Eden Campbell. I clicked the wrong thing here. I'm trying to get everybody on. Eden Campbell. There, we got all our names up there. Great, wonderful. Oh, now he doesn't have a title. Who are we talking to also? James, who'd you bring up?
that's my new dog Tembo, my quarantine dog.
We should all get one of those. I got a quarantine cat. He quarantines himself from the litter box. He's in the house. He won't go.
Okay.
So,
Well, she jumped on the couch here and is bugging me, so I figured I'd get her on camera, and she'd probably give us some teeth.
oh,
She's an evil pit walla.
all right. So I'm going to move myself down here because I want to let Damascus take the lead on this one, and we'll just rearrange the Brady Bunch squares here.
All right.
So Damascus, take it up, man.
All right. Well, actually, the first thing I wanted to ask is I wanted to ask Silas, you were the writer and director. You're the main dog here. So what were your main influences in coming up with the ideas for They Reach?
Well, let me see. Where do I start with this? So my producer, Bry Troyer, was also co-writer on this project. I was introduced to Bry through Jason Connolly, who was executive producer, after I met him through a Seattle 48-hour film festival. And once Bry was handed my treatment/vomit draft, he was like, "Man, this is really cool. Let me take a look at this." And he was asking me how many, if I was cool with notes back, and if I wanted just the I guess the heavy notes or just some notes, but I just said, just give me everything you got. I don't care. So he came back with like 20 pages of notes pretty much, and they were amazing. So I asked him to see if he wanted to do a page one rewrite with me, and that's how kind of the journey started with writing the screenplay. Before then, I wrote a short film that was entered into Bleedingham, which is a film festival in Bellingham, titled They Reach, and it was loosely based off of the things that I grew up on, and that kind of morphed into, after what Brian and I did with rewriting the screenplay, that morphed into what it is now. It was to harken back to the days where you're watching Poltergeist and John Carpenter's The Fog, and just the adventure movies, even E.T., like with the kid adventures and whatnot. And that was our main goal was to try to give the audience like a, I guess the feeling of like adventure, and so yeah.
I picked up on a lot of that. I picked up on a lot of the E.T. and even the Goonies influence there.
Hmm.
I picked up on some of that, and I picked up a lot of Evil Dead influence in some of the horror aspects. Just the mixture of comedy also was very appreciated.
Right. That's a Bry thing as well. Bry did he brought in a lot of comedy. I think my first draft before uh before I met Bry, the first draft was very dark and very
Mm-hmm.
sinister. It didn't have a lot of comedy in it at all, actually. And but I was still trying to ride that fine line of like how do you bring in a little bit of humor with the jump scares and try not to tonally try not to make it feel strange, and weird. And so Bry was, really good at that, and he helped me through that. So, and when we met James, that was kind of a thing that we all had in common, was this nostalgia for these films and the films that we grew up on, and trying to create like a cohesive vision. So it was really important that we were all on that same page of where we came from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get the same vibe from the trailer. It's it gives me these Flight of the Navigator, Explorers, all those '80s kid-driven adventure. Those were sci-fi, of course, but this, you can do the same thing with horror, and it looks like you've got it going well there.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we joked around on set all the time. James and I would be like, "There's a movie called The Gate," and we would always joke around with The Gate, saying like that one line, like I think they said like you've been bad or something, and as the phone like melts away and stuff, and we just I think just being on set and having fun and kind of reminiscing with these movies, like I said, that we that holds a fond place in our heart. Like we that's what we were kind of set out to do, is have a roller coaster ride.
Well,
yeah, and I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say it really worked because the three main characters were very distinct and strongly written, which was it was a good core to have around the story, rotate around them.
Thank you. Yeah, we were very lucky to have our leads, and we they meshed so well together, and then that carried off set as well. And some movies aren't as lucky as we were, because the chemistry was there and they were very professional. And then when it was time to be goofy and we were done shooting, we just were having fun and goofing around, and but then when it was time to go, they put on their game face and they're like, all right, let's do this. And we just really lucked out with the kiddos.
The game face, as in squishing pizza, eating squishing pizza on her face. How many times did you have to do that before you got a final cut?
Oh, probably maybe 10 or 12 times. At the end of the day, it was very shiny. It was very nice. I don't recommend it. I think there are better treatments.
They only took the third one. The rest of them were for fun.
Oh, I'm sure. Is that what it was, Silas?
Yeah, no, that pizza was cold as hell while she's plastering it on her face, and they're like 2 or 3 hours old, I'm sure, like, because we had to do multiple takes, and James and I are just cracking up behind the camera, and she's just slapping that pizza on her face and trying to. It was quite interesting to see that. Yeah.
Well, and sorry, Silas, wasn't there one take where the pizza was stuck on my face and it flew off as I got it?
That's the take that's in the movie.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
It's so funny because then she runs onto the court and then she runs, like, flies her head around, and then it just goes off her face and lands on the court. So it's like,
right.
The natural effects are the best ones. So I've got the preview queued up here. Let's go ahead and give people in the audience here an idea of just what we're talking about, so they can get an understanding of why we're so excited about this.
So, I found some cool stuff.
Are you into that? Most girls collect dolls.
Dad, I'm 13.
When your mom was your age, she was learning recipes and sewing.
I'm not a girl. I'm a nerd.
I like the potato light. It's like classic science fair. Maybe we need to step it up a notch. I mean, if we are going for grand champs...
Don't stress it. I'm already on it.
Wow.
We're making the Death Star.
Yeah. You weren't kidding.
Watch this. How do we kill it?
You can't.
Is this thing ever gonna stop?
It won't stop. It's building power.
Pure light, organic light, light of Mother Earth. This repels the evil. We need to leave now.
Oh, no, you don't. There we go. It didn't want to come back to me for a minute. So first off, watching the trailer, what I want to do is say thank you, James Winters, for giving us dark scenes that we can actually see something in.
You're welcome. That was a collaboration between Silas and myself.
It was.
He would say, it has to be really dark. But Silas, we won't be able to see anything.
No, James is right on the money with that. He's like, like I said, Bry's a mentor of mine, as a writer and a producer. James is my other mentor as a, cinematographer and master at his craft. I've said this multiple times. His eye, his vision, and our mind meld that we had to do, right on the money. Like that, he just knows what he's talking about. And instead of being stubborn, you just got to listen and then work together. And as soon as he's like, hey man, we should definitely make sure we get the image is there and we can see what's in the darkness. I'm like, okay, you're right. And I think that collaboration and that teamwork is needed, for future anything, like not just feature films, but just any type of collaboration.
Yeah, I can't count the number of times I'm watching an action film or a horror film, and it's dark because it's supposed to be, but I'm like, why are you filming with the black screen?
You can't follow the action.
Yeah.
And I noticed that it's really moved in that direction lately to like really go darker because it's more realistic. But I mean, you're right. It's if you can't see what's happening, what's really the point? I'm a big fan of Dean Cundy, who is the cinematographer from Halloween and The Thing and Back to the Future, and that's 80s lighting. It's hard light. We're not trying to conceal. I mean, you want to have shadow, you want to have contrast, but it's not supposed to be, totally dark, as to where you can't see anything. So I was trying to really lean on that type of look coming into this. Yeah. So thank you for that.
You're very welcome. Damascus, let you jump back and take some more lead.
All right. What was the most like intense scene to film? Because there's a lot of intense action towards the end of the movie. So what was like the hardest aspect of that to pull off?
I don't know, James. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I think our night shoot out on the road was really tough. There's a scene with a car and Eminem's character being attacked, and we actually broke that scene up into a couple segments. One was done on this really isolated country road west of Olympia, and then the other was done in my driveway. Both of which were kind of intense nights. But I mean, just how kind of far away and hard it was to pull it off. There's another scene with Cheddar that still impacts me when I see it, and I can't give away any spoilers, but that was a really tough scene. We actually had to do it a couple times, reshoot one of our reshoots, because we really needed to nail the emotional impact in that moment. So those are ones that stand out to me right off the bat. I'm sure there's more, but there were so many nights.
Yeah, I'm pretty much agreeing with those moments. The night shoots were rough because we're doing back-to-back night shoots in fairly cold weather with no electricity, and we're having to haul generators and cords from, stretch out like so many feet of extension cords and stingers, and so it was a challenge for sure.
You helped bring stingers up the side of the hill there.
Right.
Night. Okay.
Yeah, going up that hill. It's like steep hill that goes straight up to that road
in the pitch black,
in a complete pitch black darkness, just walking around. That was
/ rigging gaffer.
I know. Oh yeah, we all had to wear multiple hats on this one.
That's the hallmark of the indie film, though, right? I mean,
it is.
You're the director and chief cook and bottle washer and all that.
Yes, this is very true.
So, Mary Madeline, there's a line in the trailer we hear where you're telling your father that I'm not a girl, I'm a nerd. First of all, how easy was it for you to slip into that kind of cultural identity of being the girl nerd? And second of all, with all the science and nerd props around, what was that comic book?
Well, spoiler alert, I am a nerd. I'm actually the CFO of my robotics team at my high school. And at the time of this filming, I was doing robotics and I was really into science, and my love of science is really in thanks due to my science teacher, Miss Barrere, because she taught me, science is everywhere and is in everything, and you can do whatever you put your mind to. So I would say that aspect of my character was pretty easy to slip into because I was already pretty similar. And the comic book, was it They Reach comic book?
Oh, it was. So I can go out and do that.
It actually says executive producer or guest starring or something like that, Jason Connolly, which is actually our executive producer. So we gave him a little shout out in the film.
Very nice. So that was a prop comic then. It wasn't
not a real comic book.
All right. Damascus, jump in.
There were lots of other shout outs in there. Whose idea was it to have the two police officers with the names Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes? I see that.
Oh yeah, that was one of the more blatant ones that was in your face. Yeah, there's some tropes in there where they're like hard to find that we really. It's hard to see those ones, but then there's other ones that are just like in your face, like, hey, Kevin Smith, Jason Mewes. I thought that was a fun little nod, just because I still do, but I used to listen to them all the time. And Kevin Smith was always like, hey, go out there, do a podcast, film a movie, like just put something out there in the world. And he was always advocate for artists to do their thing. And I took it was I guess I took it to heart, and I was like, all right, like let's do this, like I'm gonna do something. So in the beginning, writing that vomit draft, I was like tagging him and stuff, and eventually, like I think when I met Bry, I was like, hey, I'm gonna start this journey, and then he liked my post, and I was like, hey, I got an approval or something. But I thought it was really cool, and just a little nod there, just it's a fun thing. But there are many, what do you call them?
Easter eggs.
Easter egg. Thank you, Easter eggs. Yeah, inside Easter eggs and stuff, like a lot of stuff with Evil Dead, Shining, Poltergeist. There's a lot in there.
I love finding the relevant Easter eggs in films. Well, I think one of my favorites is probably in Black Christmas, as they're running around the sorority house getting all splashed up. There is the fishnet stocking leg lamp in the corner.
Oh, from Christmas Story.
Produced by the same guy who produced A Christmas Story.
Christmas Story, yeah.
So they brought it, yeah.
That's awesome, yeah. No, there was a few. There was some that didn't work. I won't mention one, but James knows. I tried to draw a chainsaw outline in the shed for Evil Dead. And if you've ever drawn a chainsaw outline, I had to cover that up with a regular saw, but it did not look PG.
I forgot about that. I was like, what is that?
James stopped me in the middle of drawing this outline of a chainsaw. And he's like, what are you drawing, Silas? There's like kids here. I'm like, oh, shit. So I covered it up with a chainsaw. So. Yeah. Or with the regular saw, sorry, actual saw.
They knew.
Yeah, it was funny. But anyways, there's a lot of moments in there that we pay homage as well to some of the classics that we're trying to say, hey, thank you for being awesome. Here's a little tip, nod, tip to the hat, a tip of the hat to them, So
I thought Quinley's flashback was quite harrowing. That was a very intense scene.
I think the 60s in general felt like almost a totally different movie, just because it was meant to, I guess, it was it was the backstory to and like to have fear, like from this. What is this demon? Like we wanted to instill this fear from where it came from, and we didn't want it to be jokey or goofy. We wanted to kind of that was the scary, the scary part coming through into the 70s, the later 70s. But I love the 60s. They just have that campiness to them. You know what I mean? Like they kind of talk a little different, and it's a little tropey and it's fun. So,
were the effects primarily practical, or were they digital, or a combination of both?
Mostly practical. James and I had to deal with that quite a bit, and also the kids being like, with their ankles being grabbed all the time by these freaking hands. But there's a couple times where James and I are looking at each other, and James is like, "Dude, this is not gonna work. This hand looks like a big old wadded up ball of Play-Doh trying to grab somebody. Like it just looked so bad." James, you can talk about that. Yeah.
So speaking of, effects like that where you actually have to get physically involved, Eden and Mary Madeline, what were the most grueling scenes that you had to do as far as, this is really tiring me out. This is exercise. This is actually work, Silas.
Well, personally, I didn't really get that tired because I'm an athlete and I have to do a bunch of conditioning.
You're like, I'm good.
I'm an athlete.
And I like running, so I was just like, okay, come on, guys, let's go run down this road at 3 a.m. and get our breath all hitched up. Yay!
That's true. You were very energetic. I gotta say that.
Yeah.
Oh, we did drag you underneath that car, FYI. And
we did do that, and I can say I put my actual blood, sweat, and tears into this film because I would get scraped up when I was going under the car. I had to like pretend my legs gave out under me, and like I slammed my knees onto pavement, and it was like I honestly had a lot of fun with that because then I could just got to go all out. And I think I was even there's a scene where I think it's Alex Quinley, not Mark Quinley, right? And he takes me and he throws me over his shoulder, and then he tosses me into a car, and I have to pound my fists against the car window to get out. It was just so much fun.
Of course, it was fun for you, Eminem. Eminem kept us. She was like our caffeine. It was very addicting as well. It kept everyone alive. But I remember there were a lot of night shoots, and this one wasn't cold whatsoever. We were in a bookstore for the library, and there was just I think we stopped filming at like sunrise, maybe like 5 a.m. And I remember there was nothing exhausting about the scene, but Eminem and I just fell asleep like 3 times in between the shelves while everyone was doing the shots. So at least we got to sleep. Not everyone else got to sleep, but that was very tiring.
Yeah. James and Sass were like, "Come on, Eminem, you have to get up." And I'm like, "No, go away."
I know you guys had to go to school the next day. It was
I know. It's intense.
I didn't go to school. Did you go to school, Eminem?
No. I'm just acting like I'm a good student.
Good. Yeah. I really was like, I don't know how they're going to do that.
Right.
I remember that night we were out on the country road, and the scene, Eminem, you had to like drop down to your knees, and it was this really kind of complicated wraparound Steadicam shot, and to get the lighting and the angles right, we had to do it like 6 times. And I'm realizing that you're dropping to your knees like really hard
on the
like,
pavement. Yeah.
Padding or you don't have to. Oh my God.
Yeah, we didn't realize it till like what, the 6th take or something.
Yeah.
Just because the gravel or something was like, we kept on hearing the gravel, and then we looked down because it was so dark. We thought there was a pad there.
Yeah.
And there was not.
There was not.
Yeah. She's like, "No, it's okay. Don't worry about it." Like,
but there were bruises, I hear, right? After that night.
Yeah, I think I don't get from softball. Like, I'm fine.
You're a trooper.
Yes, thank you.
Did they sit down with you after all that happened and said, "Girls, have you ever heard of OSHA?" No? Okay, good.
Yeah.
How long did it take to how long did it take to film this movie, like from beginning to end?
It's like a couple weeks. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No way.
We had
like,
in the basement.
I think it was like 7 months.
Yeah. I had 44 days and 6 overnight shoots.
Eminem grew like 2 feet from the beginning of filming.
Since it was 6 months, then I think I was 5'2" or something when I started, and then I grew, and I was like at least 5'6" or 5'8" or something like that. And then they had to keep propping Morgan and Eden up on apple boxes so that we looked like we were still the same height. And
yeah, there was a dress you wore that had to keep getting taken out.
Yeah,
it was getting way too high.
It was down to like the 3 inches above my knee or something when I started, and then it looked like a mini skirt by the end, and it was like, I can't wear this.
Yeah, we had to. I think Dee Dee had to take it to a tailor and like have him take it down or whatever. Like, tailor it like 3 extra inches or more.
That's a risk though with with working with teenage actors.
It is.
No one had any clue when they first started doing Harry Potter if Daniel Radcliffe was going to have a mustache or not in the second film. It just when things kicked in, they kicked in.
No, that's super true.
How many corn dogs were consumed during the filming of this movie?
Sensitive subject.
Very sensitive. It might have been countless, but sadly I'm vegetarian now, so I don't know what we're gonna do for the next movie. Silas, you're gonna have to get me some vegetarian corn dogs or something.
That could work. Yeah, got it.
It'll be the 80s, and health food was a big thing in the 80s.
Yeah, there you go.
Cheddar? Really?
You need to have like cheese pizza, but like with a bunch of vegetables on top, and something like that.
Sure. That'll work.
I got you.
But you hate mustard and corn dogs, right?
Yeah, I don't hate
Yeah.
mustard anymore, but oh man, did I hate it back then. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I didn't eat anything. I didn't eat a single corn dog. There were corn dog pieces that I chewed up on the sidewalk every time we filmed. It was disgusting. I'm so sorry, but I was sorry.
Every take, we're like, cut. And she's like, gross.
Yeah.
And then this was a little miniature pile next to her. But you stuck it out. You stuck it out.
Thank you.
Well, that leans into the question that I wanted to ask, which is, any good horror movie worth its salt doesn't end on a definite, solid ending. It leaves the door open for more horror. So, are they going to reach further?
I mean, we've talked about this many times before with everyone, but I think that is a possibility. Without giving too much away, what's going on with the with the film at the end and stuff like that. But I think there is a way to go ahead and possibly continue, but that is something later down the future that I think Brian and I were talking about. So
I think the hardest part will be titling the movie, the sequel.
yeah,
They reached.
They reached.
yeah, they reached it.
They reached further. That was a pretty good term there.
Yeah. So they're not saying no. Definitely not saying no.
It's definitely open for.
Yeah.
Was this film pre-COVID or during COVID, or what kind of impact did 2020 in general have on creation and release?
We started COVID, actually.
Yeah, it's your fault. Okay.
We unleashed it from a possessed reel to reel.
Yeah, it's from the reel to reel. No, it's we started this film well before COVID, and Brian and I, even after we were done, after the edit was done, we shopped it out went to Santa Monica, and we went and sought out sales agents and distributors, and this was just before any type of hint of anything of COVID related, and then now through the distribution process, then it started. That's when kind of around the COVID came to light, and so far, not as hasn't affected us I guess too negatively, but the only thing that's affected us, I guess, is just film festivals and like premiere stuff in theaters and whatnot. So there was multiple theaters that wanted to screen it and show it. Some which we had to bow out before our release. I think three or four festivals actually throughout I guess the world in general wanted to screen it, and then our hometown still wants to screen it in Seattle. So it's just a matter, I guess, of time, and we'll see. Time will tell. So
it looks like great drive-in fare, and those are still open.
That's what actually Brian and I talked about that, because there's one in Shelton. There's a drive-in theater in Shelton, and then there used to be one in Auburn, but they shut that one down. But the drive-ins would be a cool double feature with something, especially for like the era and the genre.
If there was a sequel, would it be set in would it have more of a 80s vibe? Would it be 80s, 90s? Would the characters be like older, obviously, but what would that be like?
So 79, they were in high school, so it'd probably be I would want it to be personally like late 80s. That would be like mid to late 80s, but college. I would want them college.
Well, if you have any questions about the mid to late 80s, I'm your guys.
Yeah, no, I know. don't
in this time.
Right.
See the gray.
Yeah. Don't think you're getting left out there, James. You're not that lucky. You're gonna be along for the ride, buddy. No, yeah, it was such a blast. We do have a lot of stories and memories from the time, and it's just I can't express and stress enough that how much of a film family and how much of a team that we had to become, that we're not we even had to become, just that we were able to enjoy each other's company and everyone's company. So so it was a really good time in my life, I know for a fact, and I could speak for Bri and most everybody except James. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But no,
That does make the filming experience better, though, to be able to have that sort of family camaraderie with the people you're working with. You hear so many horror stories from old Hollywood about who's a diva and who needs to have green jelly beans only in their room. And
I know. Eden. Eden. No, I was kidding.
We said we weren't going to talk about it.
I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. No,
Yeah,
everyone
I
was
mean,
awesome. Yeah.
Silas and I are both down here in the South Sound, Tacoma, Puyallup area,
Right.
south of Seattle, and I'm pretty active in the Seattle film and media television scene, but I live 45 minutes away, and so Silas and I we really bonded during this movie, and we've become really good friends, and we get together and work on stuff all the time, and aside from the COVID quarantine stuff, we'd be hanging out I'm sure a lot more right now, but I really value that friendship that came out of this with Silas. It means a lot to me.
Thanks, man.
He's a good guy.
You're not too shabby yourself, buddy. No, yeah, I feel the same.
And that's very similar to Eminem and I. We live really far away from each other, but of course, we got to know each other so well over filming. I'm so glad that you were cast for the role, and I was too. I'm really glad.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm so happy we met this way, because then I feel like you really get to know a person when you're awake at 3 a.m. and falling asleep with them. And it's like you really get to know, so.
Covered in demon blood and fighting demonic entities.
Yeah, that too.
Good bonding. Yeah, hand me the potatoes. It's all there. Friendship, demons.
Very much.
Bicycle, saving the world, bicycle, the fun bicycle. You guys took forever to figure those bicycles out. That was hilarious.
Yeah. We did it.
The handlebars they're so far away. Yeah, the handlebars are like, they're super far away. So they're like all like, oh shoot, like oh my god.
How do you see ears?
Did you notice, Silas and everyone? So I promoted that the movie was released the other day, and a friend of mine in Portland rented it, and then he posted a picture of a potato light that he had made with his dad back in the 80s that he just found in his basement.
Just found the potato, or just found the picture?
No, he found the actual light, and his dad just died really recently, and so he was like, it was a really emotional thing,
man, doing
this like potato light thing with the dad, and then I just found this, and so that was really cool that it touched somebody like that, and then he actually found a potato light from the 80s.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Never in my wildest dreams.
It's not just a horror film. It's, a tale about friendship and adventure. And there's so many life lessons in there that I feel like lots of people from lots of different audiences can be able to connect and relate to it.
I think you're right.
Yeah, it's definitely a little bit more like you're saying, like it's not as narrow as like people like can just categorize it as just like a horror, like, oh, this is just a horror movie, or is this a horror movie because it's not scary or whatever. But the people forget that there's so many subgenres within horror. There's like Poltergeist, that's it was rated PG, and it's a horror film. It's classified as a horror film, but there's horrific moments, but it's a family struggling with this demonic presence that's kind of tearing them apart. And I think that's kind of where we're closest to, because it's not a slasher and we're not ripping people's guts out. It's more of like, let's bond together, let's figure this out as a team type of thing. And that was the whole point of this movie, was for a younger audience, like the stuff that James and I grew up and Bri and everybody else, like that's what we wanted to touch base on, hit on, is that subgenre within horror that I think sometimes we're missing a little bit, and people think it needs to be a slasher or something.
Yeah, the horror that's accessible to a younger audience, maybe not.
Right.
We're not talking Dora the Explorer horror.
Right.
Not mean for that. What that did, but that works great.
You need that sense of fun to be injected in there, because that's what it's all about. I mean, we watch these movies because they're gory and they're scary, but also because they're fun.
Right.
That's an element that's missing in a lot of like torture porn. It's not really fun to watch.
Right, and it's interesting because I'm a fan of all horror. I like specific subgenres more than others, obviously, but there are some good slasher films that I love that I am stuck in. Like, I grew up with Scream, and like I grew up with Wes Craven and stuff like that too. So I'm not saying I just love just one, part of horror, but I definitely I'm definitely proud of what they reached, kind of became as, like, it is semi-family, it's just for the families. It's there's some scares and there's a couple cuss words, but I think as a younger, like a preteen, this would be a good intro movie for someone maybe that hasn't fully dove into the horror genre, I guess.
Yeah, I could show this one to my 12-year-old. Well, now he's 13 as of last week. My son, and not worry about it. His introduction to horror with me was he watched the recent remake of It. And I was like, he's 12 and a half. I'm like, okay, this might be, and he laughed the entire way through it, which he's either really well adjusted or I need to sleep with one eye open. I'm not sure.
Well, I think that's a good point. I mean, it feels like for something to be scary in this day and age, things are going more in the disturbing route, like the Ari Aster,
right?
Midsummer and Hereditary, and I mean that's great, but when you come out of a movie and you just feel like you've been stripped down to the bone and you just feel terrible. I mean that's kind of what it takes to be scary these days, and it's like we didn't want to go that route with this movie,
right?
And so I think it's just a question of people's expectation, and if you want a great popcorn movie that's got some thrills and chills and it's an emotional roller coaster, I think, and comedy, we're a great a great project for you to check out. So
right,
you want to come out excited and energized.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, have that good feeling, So just definitely everything James said, right on the money there, man.
I think for sure at the end of They Reach, you definitely have that warm, fuzzy feeling.
Oh, yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Definitely true.
Yeah, I love one of the last few scenes, the bike ride scene and then the train track scene. And Silas, isn't that where you had your first kiss?
Yeah.
Around there.
Know that.
No, I was kidding. Yes, it is. That was they say to pull from places that you remember, that stick out and has emotional ties and stuff. And through this movie, we went back to my hometown and where I grew up, and I grew up in Enumclaw, and they were very, very kind to us, and they let us block whole streets off for pretty much free. I mean, except for the fee that we had to pay them, which was not much. And they're very, very nice and kind. And so was the community. So I figure I would pull some of my own kind of areas where I had some memories from. I'm like, maybe this will play to an audience. Maybe they'll see this place is, beautiful, and this place is, just kind of stunning. So that's kind of why I usually try to do that, with things that I attach myself to, just pull something of myself, like maybe it's subconsciously or whatever, but I was like, yeah, let's go to this place and let's
That makes it
shoot
more
here.
connectable for the audience as well. I mean, when
I
you
think
go
so,
to
yeah.
a real place.
Yeah.
Right.
Putting a piece of yourself into it.
Right. It's not just like some place where like, oh, let's shoot there. Like I remember summers walking on those train tracks very vividly. So I was like, I got it. Know the perfect place to go. So yeah.
Did that make it easier to put your vision out there, like having that personal experience, that attachment to it?
I mean, I think it always helps, but also, like I keep saying, and I know I'm getting repetitive at this point, but I keep saying that just relying on the main team, and talking it over with James, talking it over with Bry, getting Jason involved in there. Like, we would talk it over and we say, hey, is this what we're doing? Does this feel right? It's because a lot of it's just that collaboration, It's not just like, I got it. Like, this is it. Like sometimes you feel it and you can just go with it. And most times, people are like, yeah, that's it. But then when you get stuck and you hit that brick wall, you're like, wait, what should we do here? I love ping ponging ideas back and forth and seeing what, just spitballing here and there and seeing what we can figure out, what feels right. And I felt like that was I think that was actually James's idea to change to kind of manipulate the ending a little bit, and Brian and I had to rethink and find the location again, and that one is the one that popped in my mind. Very Stand By Me, very just very, I guess, timeless is to me was the train tracks. And
train.
Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up in a teeming metropolis of 900 people, and we had a train track that would ran through town. And of course, all the kids would walk the tracks down through the wooded areas.
I've walked some tracks before.
Yeah. And there was always this one piece of track where it's like, there's no way to get off the left or the right. So between here and the other end of it, make sure nothing's coming, because you've got to get going. There's nowhere to go if there's a train that comes. It wasn't a bridge or anything. It was an embankment and you couldn't go anywhere. We always had, nightmares of getting tennis shoes caught in the tracks.
Oh, I know, right? Yeah, where the kids were walking, there is actually a bridge there. It was a little miniature bridge where a little creek runs underneath. And yeah, that was always a really cool spot to hang.
Now, when it comes to the setting and the cast, you're talking about, the 70s, you're talking about kids, you're talking about horror. Obviously, the first thing that pops to mind right now these days is going to be Stranger Things. Was there any influence on that, or was it like not necessarily like an influence, but saying, like, hey, 70s and kids and horror is something that people are responding to right now, or was it just a parallel path that you just both happened to be on at the same time?
I wouldn't say.
Actually,
oh, go ahead, Em.
Yeah, I hadn't watched Stranger Things, or even I might have heard of it, but I've never seen it, even while I was filming. And Silas wrote the script way before Stranger Things even came out. So while it's flattering to be compared to a multi-million-dollar budget TV show, we're an indie film, and we are different than Stranger Things on so many levels.
Absolutely, yeah. There's absolutely nothing at all like Stranger Things in They Reach.
It's definitely interesting. Oh, go ahead. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I wanted to piggyback off of Mary Madeline's what she said there. It was very ironic that happened. I remember when we were doing our rewrites and the show came out, and I was like, oh man, look at this. Like, what the heck? And it was it's one of those things where people are like, oh, no one's going to say that you guys thought about that first. But, it was interesting because it did take us, so long to do. It took us, like Eminem saying, we were extremely like a low budget film, and we probably had as much as they had for one day of crafty services on their on for our whole budget, you know. So it's I don't see it hindering us, I guess, either, because that is one of the genre, like, subgenres that I was talking about, you know, within horror, and it is that kid adventure, and they are all as well paying tribute to the classics, you know, to what they kind of vibe off of, you know. So it's just I think it comes down to how well versed you are with the genre, and did you grow up like I did with actually the classics, that Stranger Things and Us, that we were, you know, harkening back to, or did you just grow up now and you don't know some, I guess, film history as much, and you think that Stranger Things, I guess, started that entire genre, which unfortunately a lot of the younger age generation kids think that's where it stems from.
Stranger Things is definitely not the start and the end of this kind of subgenre of horror.
Right.
Yeah. To say that we got the idea from them is just ridiculous. I mean, there's even accusations that they stole the idea from somebody else. You know, not just the genres, but the specific elements of the show, like that was somebody else's idea. You know, so I mean, why? You know, no, we took these ideas from the Goonies and from the game.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
That's where these ideas came from, and it was just kind of okay. It so happens that somebody else, Netflix and all their money, has this other project they're doing. So
there's a lot of people who don't understand how the well of ideas works when it comes to creating things. And if something's new and popular, it's first for that generation. And harkens back to this. Harry Potter is another good example. Oh, everything's like Harry Potter. Well, let me take you back a little bit and show you some other bespectacled kids who grew up in impoverished environments and found out there was something special about them. Let's start with T.H. White and move forward from there.
I do think our original sales poster shot us in the foot. The one that our original sales agent thought about using, and my producer Brian and I were like, no, you cannot use this. They were like testing out ideas for titles, and one of them was like they straight up took Stranger Things font and put They Reach in it, and they're like, don't worry, we're just going to use this to possibly sell, you know, to other territories, you know, throughout the world and stuff like that. We're like, we do not like this. Like, we don't like this at all. Like, this is not who we are. And so what happened was I said that it leaked, what have you. I don't know. Anyways, something leaked on the internet. Once something's on the internet, it gets out there in the world, and then we got bombarded and like just completely railed, like, with this freaking notion that we were trying to steal. And that's where that kind of carries from, is that we were like a mockbuster and stuff, which was very frustrating at the time, and we were trying to put out fires. And so you can see how all of a sudden now people are comparing us to Stranger Things immediately, just because of the pre-notion idea of them seeing the poster that never should have freaking been made. And it was really just an unfortunate situation.
Yeah, there's a huge difference between tapping a recognized sensibility that's out there in the marketplace and what you're saying here, just a straight up copy like they did with the poster.
Right. And it was just really, it was very frustrating, but we ended up getting a distributor that understood what was going on, and he was like, no, we're gonna change that, and we ended up landing Uncorked, and Uncorked was like, yeah, this let's change it up, like, let's make sure that you feel comfortable with how it looks. And so that's what ended up on that's what ended up on these. So like this is our original font, you know, like this is what we wanted to use from the get-go.
Which I tried to match to the best of my ability.
Yeah, right here. That's my producer. Here you go. Here, Brian, take that.
Oh, look, it's doesn't it? The family making an appearance.
Yeah. So yeah, so that's kind of this is Bri. That's our producer.
Hi, Bri. I miss you.
Nice
We pretty
to meet you.
literally like hang out and but don't worry, we did get our COVID tests and we are negative for it. So yeah, we're writing our next feature and stuff. And so anyways, that was very important. Stray away from that font choice, to use our original font choice and to keep it as close to home as possible. And then that's what ended up in the stores and to buy. So I'm really, 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 really happy that our vision and our say ended up at as the final result.
Now, Silas, I'll tell you something here. I tried to match the font for the overhead header because usually I'll just take it from the poster and I'll remove background and clean it all up. This was like getting on my nerves trying to do it, so I didn't. That font that's up there, you know what that's called?
What is it?
Evil Dead.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about. You almost got it, though. You almost got it.
Yeah, it was.
That's pretty close. Evil Dead, that's just another tribute to that, man. I love that. I love Sam Raimi. Sam Raimi is awesome. James and I talked about Sam. There's a few Sam Raimi shots in there with the shadow and the hands, the shadow hand kind of killing people. And then, tribute to the reel-to-reel.
Right, with the tape recorder.
Yeah, right. Where the dad works, he works at S Smart. I don't know. You can't see it on his little badge, but he does work at S Smart hardware store.
Shop smart. Shop smart.
Yeah. So that's actually in the special features. You can see we show the name tag and stuff. So it's kind of fun. Well, it's a lot of little Easter eggs in there.
We got a lot of fans in the chat here. Damian Vines is out here saying you guys have done an awesome job and cheers. Kirsten Winters is saying, how do you make something so comparable and yet on no budget? Because talent, that's why. So we appreciate in the chat.
That's fun.
And I think that if you come to this video later, you can do it now, but I don't want you to do it now because we're talking right now. Stay here. The first line in the description below will take you to where you can get your own copy of They Reach through Amazon. So please do that.
Right.
And I have to make the disclaimer that, yes, it's a Critical Blast affiliate link because there are apparently people who will send people to Amazon for no money at all. We have a link, and yes, we'll make a penny or two off of that. So,
thank you for promoting us and the kind words in the article and in the interview. Really appreciate it. A lot of hard work has went into this, and
it shows.
It was really fun to make, and I can't wait to do another one and to start another feature in a series and venture off into filmmaking. You know, this was the first one. This will always be like my baby. It'll always be my first feature. You know.
Mm-hmm. So as we close out here, Damascus, I don't know how many more questions you got.
That was about it.
Look at that; they've all got their copies.
I'm set. Go buy.
She's got the
yeah. James is
VHS copy.
James, go ahead and do that again. Wait, hold on, bro. There you go. Oh, my hand needs to be up here. Thank you.
Can we get it on VHS?
Actually, when we're done with our website, Brian and I are trying to finish our website. I'm thinking about doing a special edition one on VHS. I already have one.
Perfect.
And it'll be, you can watch it all, if you have a VCR. I have one. It works, and it's awesome, and it looks like a VHS. I'll say that. And but yeah, we're gonna do like a little kind of packet deal. I think that you'll be able to buy online. That will be like a VHS plus a T-shirt and a poster. It'll be like a little kind of package deal that you can get. So
sounds awesome. We need some Funko Pops of the characters.
So. I've already looked into trying to get action figures. So I am looking into that. Like some kind of, it'd be cool to do a Funko Pop. Actually, that would be even cooler. But we were looking into action figures not too long ago. Yeah.
All right. Well, we want to thank everybody for showing up tonight.
Yes.
The girls, is acting where you're going to stay now that you've done this film and your other films, or are you? I mean, I know that Eminem is doing the robotics and the athletics, so she may be, running in the Olympics with cybernetic parts or something.
Well, when I signed on to this film, I knew that acting was something I liked to do, but through the course of this film, I realized that acting is my passion, and I really do feel like this is where I'm meant to be in my life. And I really am just hoping for the future for me to booking more roles and see where that takes me.
Yeah, totally. I've been acting for about 10 years now, but I love every second of it, and seeing the film come out and every moment we spent on set really appeals me. Of course, this is what I want to do. And of course, I'm pursuing other things, but I love this so much, and that's why I met everyone here, so that's great.
James, you going to stick with the camera work, or are you going to be looking for something else to do after this?
Oh, I've tried doing other stuff, and this is where I'm going to end up. Yeah.
Practicing my welcome to Walmart as best I can. So, when that time comes, I'll be ready to make that career shift.
Yeah. I went to Walmart today for the first time in a few years looking for a copy, and I could not find one. I was very sad.
Sold out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for coming on the stream. We appreciate you being here. We will still be here for They Reach Again, or they reach
further.
They reach further.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us on.
Yeah.
Yes, it was nice meeting all of you.
And thank you.
Thanks.
For watch.
Good to see you, girls. It's the best. You're the best.
All right, and we'll be signing out.
Thanks, sir.
Critical Blast, where pop culture